Black people, let's talk about Dave Chappelle, and I want to start this conversation by saying this. This whole idea and take on "it's just comedy" is so worn out. If a white comedian stood on stage and called himself a racist and said, "I stand by the KKK," we would not stand for that shit. Dave Chappelle explicitly called himself transphobic jokingly and then said he stands with JR TOLKEN in being a TERF. A lot of y'all was talking shit yesterday when I said I have not watched the film, but I can already tell that black trans women are missed out. Not only was I right about black women being missed out, I'm gonna have the same energy with y'all. I don't want to engage in a conversation about y'all with the Dave Chappelle special until y'all showed me that y'all have read and or talked to a trans woman or trans person, but y'all haven't. Blackface was comedy too, though. You feel me? Y'all cool with blackface? How about comparing trans identities to blackface? Is that cool? I thought we all agreed that blackface was offensive and racist regardless, which is why a lot of trans people would see issue with comparing their identity with blackface. But let's keep it going though. Dave Chappelle said that the black community is jealous of the LGBT community because of all the progress they made. And then he followed that by saying that he misses the old Stonewall days. I took issue with this shit. For y'all that don't know, the Stonewall riots happened in New York. Is literally where the whole entire pride movement comes from. And it was started by police brutality to a trans black woman and a trans Latino woman, Sylvia and Marsha P. Johnson. This little comparison of the black community to the LGBT community does a disservice to black trans and black queer people like Marsha P. Johnson because they're erased in that situation. When Dave Chappelle talk about the black community being jealous of the trans community, we're not jealous of black trans women being the most exterminated in our country, is we? No. All of y'all that's saying, well, y'all only heard what y'all want to hear in the special. No, you only hear what you want to hear in the special, and you are validating dog whistling and you validating gaslighting. This because a person say, hey man, I'm not transphobic, but them bitches over there ain't got no real pussy. Or I'm not transphobic, but I'm team TERF. That's literally gaslighting. This is textbook trans homo negative for you to talk about trans people's genitalia. Textbook. And me seeing a joke he said before and after that didn't change the context of him joking about trans women's genitalia. It's transphobic. And then y'all keep on bringing up Daphne, this white trans woman, to insulate himself from criticism the same way that white liberals do when they go out their way to sensationalize a relationship they have with a black person. Your relationship to that one individual does not stand in how you care about the whole community. This shit obvious to me. A lot of y'all that talk shit about consciously talking too much about trans identities, y'all ain't had that same energy with Dave Chappelle. That's because you agree with all the shit that he was saying. So your issue is really with being able to recognize the whole humanity of trans people and not being able to pick at which parts you like and which parts you don't like. Of course, I got more to say, but in conclusion of this video, black people, the word is intersectionality. We have to recognize the ways in which struggles are intersected and interconnected. If not, we're going to perpetuate in the same shit we claim that we against oppression. Don't want to cancel them, want to call them out though. You feel what I'm saying? It's a difference. Hey Kendra, I'm about to tell you something and you is not going to like this at all. Listen. Dave Chappelle has given trans issues about 5% thought, which is enough to convince people who haven't thought about it at all. This whole comment right here is wrapped up in colorblindness logic, which is exactly what Dave Chappelle was the point when we started talking about this human experience. Ain't no universal human experience, man. And him talking about this universal experience don't change that he misgendered the woman that he was talking about in her death. Hey, last year, I had a trans student that passed away for the same reason. You feel me? She took her life. When I went to her funeral, her family didn't refer to her as her or her name at all. They dead named her and misgendered her the whole time. That's not a universal human experience. My papa always said, you know, Lil George, everything that comes after butt is shit. You feel what I'm saying? Dave Chappelle made a lot of butt statements. No cancel culture, it's call out culture. He said, I agree that trans women are women, but I identify as a TERF. He said he's for the humanity of everybody, but he jokingly referred to himself as a transphobe twice. Everything after butt comes